So a challenge. So I made a challenge against the return to democracy the continuation of democracy, how effective that can be, or a return of dictatorships, of kings and such. But the same has been challenged towards me, that this project of using a structure of logic and epistemology with the kind of ranking system that uses people too. So how is that going to be any better? So I'm going to try to answer that real quick. So the vision is that you start the project, you start using the project, and I'll just say Betterment Project because I used to call it Betterment Project, and then I started playing with cognitive, whatever I called it. So you start on working with the Betterment Project. You make an account, and you have a questionnaire, and the questionnaire would be something like targeting down where your values lie, where your epistemological structures lie, your paradigm. It wouldn't touch the practical very much, at least not in the initial questionnaire. It wouldn't be recording, it wouldn't be targeting building a practical structure, because the whole point of an abstract structure is to make not simple exactly, but at least less than complex, merely complicated instead of complex, one's personal life choices and goals and that kind of thing. So we have this structure that we can use to define where one is at. And let's say one doesn't even really have theories. So what is it doing? It's targeting the best match that already lies in the system to where you are. And then you can fine-tune from there, and you can get into the conversation. You can begin developing better epistemologies, better paradigms, better general principles, better axioms, better values, etc. Okay. Now, the issue comes, well, what if you're a troll? Well, the secret sauce, if you will, is in the looping of the ranking system. So you don't rank up simply by voting. And if you only vote, your vote is next to worthless. It would take, I'm thinking something like in the range of 10,000 new users, people who have not developed their character in the Betterment Project, to have any effect. Now, of course, they could do that, but the problem is only very few high-ranking individuals could then overturn it. That's the kind of extreme power structure I'm considering, which sounds very disempowering, I'm sure. It sounds like, oh great, you're making a hierarchy, just like in the real world, that destroys people, that undermines them, that takes advantage of them. So how do I fully explain and unpack how it avoids that? That's not easy. So in the first place, the way one ranks up is built on certain nearly hardwired principles. Granted, those principles can have variation on a practical level, but they are primarily hardwired in. So these are humility principle, what makes something what I call stable, which is it complete, is it accurate, is it observable, and is there some reason to believe that it is livable for a community. Then there is also something like a virtue structure. And among the virtues, the chief virtue perhaps, well, let me put it this way. One of the key ways one scores a higher capacity to rank up is through resolution. There's a higher reward level for resolution, certainly than voting. That's almost doesn't give you any points whatsoever, although the system will pay attention to what you're voting on for various reasons, and I'll try to figure out some kind of ranking up that involves, well, maybe not. I've thought about that, but anyway, sorry. So if one is being civilized, if one is resolving conflict actively, that gives huge points. But also, if one is aiding, and this, I guess, is the key, if one is aiding belief systems that are not one's own, those give more credibility. So that means not only giving constructive criticism, and that would be defined by the people you are arguing against. Do they feel like you're just violently, hammering at their ideas to emotionally disrupt them and overthrow their ideas? Or are you there going, this seems like a problem, maybe if you make it more like this, in not a disinterested way, but in a non-clouded way, in a non-rivalrous way. Big points for that, huge points for that. If you're merely critiquing, and if your critique is deemed harsh, unproductive, negative, instead of somehow constructive, you're not getting hardly any points for that. I gotta write aside. That was a pretty good answer, I think.